What's going on, everyone? Joshua Jones here with GLHF MTG back again. This time, Breaking the Bank, Episode 1. The Kobolds are coming. That's right, it's Prossh, Sky Raider, Black, Red, Green 3 for a 5/5 Flying Dragon. Whenever you cast Prossh, create X01 red Cobalt creature tokens named Kobolds of Karakeep, where X is the amount of mana you've spent to cast Prossh. So this was during the year originally where they printed the like the 2013 Commander set, where they printed in you could pay the Commander tax as like a benefit to not a benefit, but it hurt less. I kind of talked about this a little bit during Beast Tribal Week, but anyways, long story short is I don't think they realized that they were going to break the format. Well, I don't know about break, but this Breaking the Bank series is our competitive deck list. So this deck list is not going to be, cheap by any means. Some of the cards in here are upwards of $70 or so. So not $200-300 or anything. But let's get into it. Breaking the Bank. Basically, we're going to run a bunch of mana. Mana. TM. So we got Sol Ring, Utopia Sprawl, Findorn, Elves of Deep Shadow. So you see with these mana sources, we got a lot of the mana dorks that let us tap to add colors, colorless, untap lands that tap for double. We're running 20 total mana sources, 8 of them at the 1-drop slot, and then these 4 here at the 2-drop slot. These at the 3-drop slot. And these here at the 4-drop slot. So most of our mana sources are going to allow us to have some double up with the fact that they're creatures. So we have some sack outlets. We have the skull clamp, as you'll see later on, and they serve multiple purposes. So that it's one, the primary purpose being to get us mana in the early game, but then additionally being able to have some other value like sacrificing or drawing cards, like I said. So Xenagos here, obviously that +1 ability is going to be pretty dope because of all the mana dorks. It also creates creatures, and then the negative X ability is also just going to be able to get us land straight onto the battlefield. So that's why we have it in this category. Then we run into the tutors, the draws, and the returns. So what this category is we're just running spells that help us tutor for our combo pieces, help us draw more cards, or return cards from our graveyard. So here you just see some classic tutors. Some more classic tutors, including Mastermind's Acquisition, which is a pretty recent tutor coming out of the Rivals of Ixalan set. Then Sidisi here being able to exploit anything, but also just can exploit itself. There's no like mounts shenanigans in this deck, so there you have it. Then we have the Great Aurora here, which is pretty wild because you get to like shuffle in and basically you get to see just a bunch of cards here, and it's kind of a cool little effect on the game state. If you've never played with it, give it a shot. The Genesis Hydra, and then Demonic and Vampiric Tutor. So this is one of the spots too where in the deck where I felt like we're going with like trying to make this pretty competitive and break the bank. So didn't take into consideration that these are expensive, but if you wanted to, there are other options out there for tutors that you can flip these out with, and I'm sure you'll be okay. But these are the most ideal condition tutors, right? Continuing on, we have just ways to like draw cards, consistently draw cards. The Skull Clamp I mentioned earlier, it's not going to be hard to sacrifice a creature to Smothering Abomination, especially considering our commander's ability. And then, Life's Legacy and Phyrexian Altar here. Life's Legacy you can feel free to use on your commander too if you have some of the combo pieces out and you're not really worried about it. I mean, why not? Here and just finished off with some card draw. Like I said, some return card effects like Treasured Find, which gets you a card back to your hand, any card you want. So I chose to run this over something like the whatever it's called, the 2 green 1 elf dude. That'll come to me later. And then the Mender here is really good because it returns a creature or an enchantment, and like the combo pieces are more enchantment heavy. So here we have the combos for days. So this segment is where we talk about all the combos in the deck. Earthcraft, I'm going to go ahead and read it here just in case you're not familiar with it. You can tap an untapped creature you control to untap target basic land. So we have basic lands that do things when they tap in Utopia Sprawl, and also in this Squirrel Nest here, where you see where Squirrel Nest is an enchant land that you can tap to add a 1/1 green squirrel creature token onto the battlefield. Parallel Ice and Doubling Season for doubling up on the Kobold tokens that we get. I can't think of any real counter type of things in here, unless I'm just totally blanking on it, but definitely in here for the tokens wise. Continuing on for combos for days, we see Food Chain here. So surprise, surprise, right? It's Food Chain and Prossh. So basically what Food Chain does is that you exile a creature you control, and you get to add X mana of any color to your mana pool, where X is the removed creature's converted mana cost +1. So the Cobalt, you can only use this mana to cast creatures, which it doesn't matter. Kind of does. It doesn't matter. Anyways, the thing about this is that the Cobalts are converted mana cost 0, so that's why you get 1 mana out of them. Phyrexian Altar, just to have a sack outlet for mana of any color. Mana Echoes, because the Cobalts are coming in, and you just there you go. Ashnod's Altar to get colorless mana. So, well, in case you don't know, I'll just read Mana Echoes too. It's whenever a creature comes into play, you may add colorless to your mana pool for each creature you control that shares a creature type with it. So these are just continuing on with our combo spells. The Food Chain's pretty important, but so are these other ones as well, because you need sack outlets that give you mana just to kind of double up and make sure you get it there. More on that a little bit later. So Prossh's ability just to be able to get the Cobalts into play based on how much you spent to cast it. The great part about that is it doesn't matter if Prossh actually gets countered or not, because it's a cast trigger. So when you cast it the first time, you're going to get 6 no matter what, and then 8 no matter what, and then 10 no matter what, and so on. So, but as a backup, because we are a combo deck, we're running Tooth and Nail for Zealous Conscripts and Kiki-Jiki. So the Kiki-Jiki combo, you just gain control of one, copy the other. It enters, gain control, back and forth. If you don't know that combo, I mean, it's pretty clear cut. Basically, you get infinite Zealous Conscripts to attack with, and you could use Tooth and Nails and Twine to put them both straight into play. Next up, we have Slimefoot, the Stowaway, and Mirage Mirror. So Slimefoot's good counter, good combo with Ashnod's Altar and Parallel Lives. So we'll talk about that in a bit. But basically, that's why Slimefoot's in the deck, is because it allows you, whenever you have a Saproling die, to gain 1 life and deal 1 damage to each opponent, which is just fantastic. And then Mirage Mirror, just because it can copy any of our artifacts, any of our enchantments, or any of our creatures, so why not have it in the deck just as a, like if we need 2 combo pieces, Mirage Mirror can become one of those 2 if we only have one of them in the Mirage Mirror. And then, like it says here, combos for days, and also these 2 counters, or removal spells, but mainly counters, just as a hedge against blue instant speed problems. And then winning with the infinite, so we can't just go infinite with these combos. We actually have to win. So one way is the impact trimmers, obviously, to just ping your opponents out with those Cobalts are coming in when you get into your loops. Same thing with Falcon Wrath Noble. Here it's just effectively the same thing. Then we have Temur Battle Rage, just as a slight hedge. If you have an opportunity to get in with your commander, you could sack those to give it a +1/+0 boost for each one that you sack, and then Temur Battle Rage for the win. That'd be kind of cool. Or Battle Driver to give all of those O1s 2 power and be able to swing with haste right away. And then the Bushwhacker in both the Bushwhackers here for basically the same effect, just to give them a point of power so that you can swing in with haste with those guys. Or whatever Cobalts are they with them. And then Blood Artists, same thing. Zulaport, same thing, just pinging for life. All these here are just ping life. So that's how you win with infinite Kobolds and infinite mana. So in this deck, we're running basic lands, 6 swamps, 8 mountains, 10 forest. We're only running 34 lands in this deck. That seemed like a good number. And then we're running some non-basics. So the only ones we really want to talk about here are Kasich Wolf Run, which allows you to get trample on a creature. So again, like with your commander, Karakeep, which is just in here because it's cool because it gives you the little cobalt dudes on a land. That's pretty neat. And then Westfall Abbey because it produces colorless and it flips over into Ormondal pretty, fairly easily. And then just before we go on, I just want to talk about seeing the infinite. So we've been talking about a lot of combo pieces in here. So if you have Earthcraft and Squirrel Nest, that's infinite. If you have Slimefoot and Ashna Salter with Parallel, R Season, or a Mirage Mirror, that is one of these three pieces. That's infinite. Kiki and Zealous is infinite. Mana Echoes pretty much just keeps colorless mana around in your pool all the time. I don't know if that's infinite or not, but it's pretty silly. Prossh plus just the food chain by itself is infinite. Prossh and both of the altars is infinite. Prossh and Phyrexian altar plus parallel or the seasons is infinite. Prossh plus Earthcraft plus either of the altars is infinite. So those are all the ways that you can go infinite in the deck. Just make sure that you're looking out for them. Pretty much if you see any two of the key pieces, so like if you have an opening hand with any one of these in a couple lands, I'd say it's probably going to be a keep, and then you can figure out a way to tutor out the other one. And then remember the ones that double up. So Ashnod's Altar and Phyrexian Altar are vastly different. Sometimes you can't get the combo with one without the other because you need the Jund colors of mana when you're going infinite. That's why Phyrexian Altar is so important. But remember, the Mirage Mirror is high tech for replacing any other like doubling up on one. So in the cases where you need to double up on them. Okay, that's enough on that. Lastly, I want to talk about the weaknesses and the warning for this deck. Crossing Grip is your worst enemy, and things like Crossing Grip, but that don't have split second. The split second on Crossing Grip is like the pretty much once you get ready to go, that's about gonna do it. The everything else you'll be able to respond to, and then kind of like the things that exile, like it escapes me right now, but the white instant that it lets you exile artifact or enchantment. And then the other weaknesses of this deck are that there's a no removal package. So you see, like, there's nothing that there's no sweepers, and there's no target removal. We're not trying to do any of that. We're focused on getting our combo pieces before somebody kills us, and this deck's pretty good at getting that off. And then there's a lot of tracks to go with your infinite combo in this deck, but it's one pony. There's you're betting on the 3-horse. You know what I'm saying? So it's and if you don't know what I'm saying, go to the tracks. Anyways, but you're trying to get a combo here. That's it. And then the other thing for warnings wise is haters have a reason to hate. This deck's very competitive, and if you're getting the hate, don't be. I implore you to not be silly about it. Just take it in stride. Like, I play a pretty decent Krenko deck, and everybody kills me right away. And I just laugh and try to have a good conversation and just smile about it, because I tell them, you need to kill me because the deck's so good. So just don't be upset. And think about that too. Just because you can doesn't mean that you should. So if you've successfully played this deck and you went infinite like 3 games in a row, like, seek out other ways to mix it up. Try to get the Prossh combo kill, or look for Teamer Battle Rage, or just make a bunch of Cobalt blockers and like sit back, or just do something other than combo off. But this deck could be pretty good. Like, if you played 4 games in a night and you're playing a 5th game and you haven't won yet and you're trying to get a win in, you're definitely gonna want to pull this guy out because it's pretty dope. All right, so your challenge achievement trophy for this week, you may have thought it was like some kind of combo or something, but no. What the challenge I'm going to give you is to use Shaman of Forgotten Ways and Mastermind's Acquisition to tutor out Aetherflux Reservoir from your sideboard. Choose a card you own from outside the game and put it in your hand. So the card I'm asking you to choose is Aetherflux Reservoir. And to use the formidable 9 green tap, each player's life total becomes the number of creatures he or she controls. Activate this if you have 8 or more. So I kind of want to see if you can get enough life. The other card that's going to help out with this a lot too is the draw card, where you draw cards for each creature you control, and then you gain like 4 life for each creature you control in this deck. So, anyways, but basically, the challenge achievement for this deck is to Mastermind's Acquisition and Aetherflux Reservoir into play, and just be like 200 life to everybody. I don't know if it's possible, but give it a go. That's gonna do it. This is Prossh Skyraider for Breaking the Bank episode 1, and it's gonna run you right somewhere around $400. Check out the deck list: 1,250,050, like an MTG Goldfish. It's a crazy amount of decks. Give this deck a go. It's a lot of fun. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, comment. I'm Joshua Jones, and I'll see you next week.